Thursday, January 19th. McFarland here, going to give you a public rundown. Man, some exciting news, honestly. Lake Fork is kind of a little more, I'm a little more optimistic about a very early season on Lake Fork than I have been the last several years. It's still cold, so the water temperature in the main lake is 50 to 53. But some of the backwaters with these big warm trends like this are warmer. You can find some 58-degree water right now in the right places. 0 to 1 clarity, 397.64. We're falling very slowly. We're about 5 foot, 5 inches below full pool. But as I started this off saying I'm optimistic, I really think that the full moon of February, which is I think around the 5th of February, you're not going to have spawning fish, but you're going to have them already be in motion. You're going to have some staging fish. I think that everything will be about 2 weeks earlier than last year, unless everything's really wrong in the predictions, not just the daily weather man or the weather reports, but in the outlook. The overall outlook is warmer than a little bit normal and coming around. Winter's past us. In past years, we still, and let me stay with me. You know, in past years, hey, even on Easter, we've had some snow before. So I'm not saying we won't have a cold front and we won't have a cold spell, but the gist of everything, the heaviness, how do I say it? We're crawling forward, and the fish, the animals, the trees, the birds, everything knows this. I noticed even the farmers have planted their onions, almanacs, things like that. Generations of farmers, they know those things. They know when to and when not to. And so, and I've been known to be wrong before, sometimes more often than not. But I just feel like we're in for an early year. So I think the full moon of February could be really good fishing, with fish coming up, not spawning, but coming up, being in the shallow water. In fact, that's where they already are right now. Not a lot of fish, but there's quite a few fish that if you can go find the right backwater, if you can go find the warm trended water, it would be better if we had grass. And in some places, there is some green vegetation already growing. And that's the alligator grass, the alligator weed. The greenness of the fields, the greenness of trees budding and things like that happening is what's telling me that we're springing forward already. Again, not to say we won't have a good cold front, because we will, but it'll be a 2 or 3 day thing. I don't think we're in for several weeks of brutality cold or anything like that, like the last few years have been. The last few years have really had a heavy winter. Aside from what happened to us in December, I believe this winter is over. And it's been nice. It's t-shirt, short weather in the afternoons, a little chilly in the mornings. But anyways, get yourself ready. Get geared up to fish, okay? Right now in some of the backwaters, you can definitely, if you can get to them, that's the key. Some of the lake level is so goofy that you need to get into the backs and find that pocket water. It warms up fast with this kind of weather, okay? It's separated from the currents of the main lake and the wind and the directions of changing. And like my pond, for example, my pond is warm. My pond is definitely warm and the fish are active in it. I have a 2.5 acre pond and the fish are moving, and at nighttime there's things hitting the surface But keep in mind, you know, the guide tournament every year around February in the past years, the guide tournament was usually about mid-February, February 19th, 20th, somewhere in there. And fish were already migrated up the creeks, up the ditches, up the drains, up in glade. You could catch a 30-pound sack of not staged fish, but fish that were on their way to do that. And so, again, this year being mild so far, I think it's going to stay the same. It's kind of exciting, We're going to have a good season, even though the lake is low. I do hope for some rain. I hope that we get some early March rain, late February rain, some warm rain, flooding rain before the spawn, because that would really help too. If we could get 2 feet of increase in the lake or so and bring it up into the growth that happened last year, the shoreline growth. We would have a big spawn, we have lots of cover. We would have a buzzbait bite in March and April. We'd have a really, really cool frog bite. And the shallow bite would just really be a fun one, especially if we could get 4 or 5, get the lake, get 4 feet of water. This spring would be outrageous. But I kind of hinted to you, there's a square-bill bite. There is a chatterbait bite. There's a specific color. I will give you a little hint because I can't give you all the information due to the members only channel. It just wouldn't be fair to the people that are willing to subscribe to my members only channel for the information if I gave you too much. I'm trying to help you publicly. Go really, really shallow. Definitely look for some vegetation. But the color, there is a color, and here's a hint. About 3 years ago, this color was really big in a chatterbait. If you remember what that is, or can do some homework and find out what it was 3 years ago, that's really the color that they really seem to be leaning on right now. And then there's a couple of different square bills. I always like the Striped King square bill is one I talk the most about. The 1.5, the 2.0, the 4.0. But there's a different square bill right now. And it really is a super duper shallow square bill. It's got a super lot of swag to it, and it'll crawl over the top of logs and things and stumps. And so when you push your boat back, way back into the sticks and the stumps and the junk and the laydowns and the logs with that warm treated water, your boat's so shallow, the fish are so shallow that we're talking about a skinny running square bill. And I'm about ready to show the public, the members, exactly what that is. A couple different colors on that square bill that works. They're right here in these boxes. I know it's a teaser. I hope it doesn't upset you, but listen, man. Come subscribe to my members only channel. Okay, it's $4.99 a month. I mean, the square bills that I'm going to show them cost twice that. And they're going to go buy them. You would go buy them. How many lures do you lose in a fishing trip? How many gallons of gas do you burn? If you're not willing to spend $4.99 to get the real goods of what the fish are biting on, exactly what they're biting on, then I'm sorry. I do want to help you publicly. I like you, love you publicly. Everybody, the subscription's still growing. My channel publicly is growing. But we really need to get you over to the members only channel. That's all there is to it. In the members channel, I actually give locations. I give the exact baits that are working, what we're using later on in the spring. When I start throwing these glide baits and stuff like that, and these big line through swim baits, I'm going to show you exactly what it is and exactly how to use it and tell you exactly where to throw it. But members only, not public. So, 316, line through swim bait. There is no better. If you want to know that stuff, you need to be a member. All right. Locally, I want to help you out here too. Fork is still a grind. You find some fish, you will catch them. You find them shallow, you will catch them. Live scoping is a grind. They're the mouths of all the creeks, mouths of all the coves, mouths of Dale, mouth of any one of the major creeks. If you'll find them deep trees in 30 feet of water or deeper, and 50 feet of water, trees that are full trees in 50 feet of water out in front of the mouths of the coves and creeks, you can find some suspended fish in those trees. They're just hard to catch. Okay, so you can go up in Little Caney, for example, and every time there's a bay and a pocket on the way up in Little Caney, those trees and those creek lines got fish, but you got to have live scope. You got to be good with it. You're going to look at a lot of fish. You're going to see a lot of fish follow, and hardly any of them are going to bite. Jerk baits, Alabama rigs, deep crank baits, stuff like that. So you're also going to lose a lot to the trees. But that's another bite that I can tell you publicly you can pursue on fork. Other than that, I would just go elsewhere still. Go to Lake Welsh. It's excellent fishing, lots of grass. Go to, the fish are spawning there on Lake Welsh now. This next new moon cycle, there'll be fish spawning, and the February full moon cycle, there'll be a bunch of fish spawning at Lake Welsh. They were on beds 3 weeks ago, trying to get on beds 3 weeks ago. Lake Athens, I just went to Athens. I'm now telling you where I was. I told you, I gave you a report. I didn't tell you where I was. In that report, when we did it lakeside, that I was on Lake Athens, had 40 fish days. Literally Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday with Brooke just last week. We crushed them on Athens, absolutely crushed the fish, fishing the grass lines, the points, the small little outcroppings of structure that had grass on them, little humps that were near the shoreline that had grass on them, 8 to 10 feet of water. Some of the fish were even 5. Brooke had an 8-pounder, I had a 4-pounder and a 4.5-pounder, but literally just crushed the fish there. It was a blast. So the other lakes in the area that have grass, Holbrook, Gilmer, Coffee Mill, Mill Creek outside of Canton, Athens, like I said, let's see, any one of these lakes in here, Winsboro for that matter, doesn't have a lot of grass, but if you go to Winsboro and just do a square bill, you'd probably catch some fish. Square bill and a chatterbait and go run some bank at Winsboro, you'd probably have a fun day. All right, that's the report. I will be back next Tuesday to give you guys some more information about Lake Fork and another public rundown. I'm Mike McFarland, the Lake Fork Guide.